since January 21st to be exact, my priorities have sort of had a crazy shift. And so stages are my therapy, because this is the only place where no one can disagree with what I'm saying. Literally. And in the slam world, slam poetry, you got 3.5 minutes that no one will disagree. And it's exhausting having to always defend and be like, no, wait, no, that's not nice, because let me tell you a story. We don't always have the opportunity. I've learned that when someone yells raghead, you gotta be real witty real quick. And so I've exhausted some of the scenarios in my brain. 2 weeks before I graduated. Perfect timing. Most people would call it a meltdown. But amidst this meltdown, it occurred to me that the word power plant has the word power and plant in it, right? And I drove up to Lookout Mountain in Denver, Colorado, all by myself. And I was overwhelmed. At this point, I had already performed in 8 countries, 2 weeks till I graduate, and a degree that I made. I'd accomplished all these wonderful things, and I didn't feel grounded, you know, and I get told a lot, wow, like, you've done great, you've done this and this and this, and it came to this point where I didn't really find value in the things that everyone knew about me, and so this girl had a meltdown. So on this mountain, I don't know why I did it. I just parked, I'm looking over the city of Denver, and after having traveled to all these places in the world and seeing all these sunsets, for once, for the first time in my life, by myself, it was probably like 2 in the morning, honestly, and for the first time, I looked at the city that I was born in. And I just started saying what I saw. And the more I started doing that, the more started appearing. You know, it went from, oh, there's the Coors factory to all of a sudden there's this orange glow that's just hovering over the entire city of Denver. And it's crazy because I'm looking at this, I got a video on my phone, I'm describing everything I'm looking at, and it came out like poetry. It was beautiful. I went over this and I realized I was so overwhelmed with the idea of having to be a creator constantly, coming up with the great spoken word poetry, saying the thing that's gonna move them. But in this situation, I realized that everything has always been right before me. It was Psych 1000, that dumb class that I had to take that I should have taken 4 years ago, but now we're gonna do it before I can graduate. And they had an assignment where 2 pages on whatever you want. That's a little overwhelming for someone like me. But I decided to do, where is creativity in the brain? I never thought about it. So I did all my research. This was an A paper. I think I went 6 pages or so. But what happened was I had this metacognitive epiphany. It changed the game for me. All creativity is your working memory. And I was blown away. I was like, no way, no way. We've been selling this idea of talent, of you're really good at writing, or you've got this special thing you're born with, but no. It's where we come from. And there's usually this sort of like, this idea that, oh, you can't trust a person's memory because they're always rewriting it. You can trust a person's memory because they are always rewriting it. That's what I found out. I'm sitting on Lookout Mountain. I had this metacognitive epiphany prior, but when I'm sitting in front of Lookout Mountain, writing these lines about, come on, glow tint hovering over the city, you gotta see it to write it, right? And I realized that everything that makes me great came from everything around me, and suddenly, in the words of Tyler Durden, Fight Club, it is only after you have lost everything that you are free to do anything. And I lost that connection to the weight of my resume, the towers of my influence or whatever. And I was on ground zero. And I had something to write about, and it was something beautiful, and I found this safety in what I had written just by looking at my city. And then you start talking about the streets and how the streets are like the hippocampus in your brain, and how the taxi driver is a revolutionary hero in Syria, and how the war in Syria is just like the weather of Colorado, and it all connects. And it's amazing because it's made talking to my friends way easier. It's made writing so much easier. And I've been grounded. I'm going to recite a poem for you guys. And I wrote this so long ago, but again, with our memories, we rewrite them. And this holds something even bigger than before, especially now. It's been a long time since I've performed about Syria. I've been busy with other things. But I've lost 31 members of my family in that country. One of the first, she was 13 years old. She was sniped in the back of her head while she was eating with her family in their farm. The way something as simple as that can become something so profound. And the impact that this had on the women of my family, and the impact that this had on the mother nature, my hope is in the idea that if we are grounded, we will grow. My grandmother always had dinner on the table. Even when the tyrant put checkpoints outside her door, her defiance made mealtimes a battle. Her family would always win. As long as she could keep chopping, she would get that tabbouleh to the table fresh, because families sit together to eat. They don't await funeral prayers. So she would send my cousins down the stairs to get her parsley, and they ate like kings amidst a war zone. Recipes the tyrant has never tasted. My grandmother knows Syria better than anyone. It is the arthritis living in her knees. She had a farm whose dust she knew by name. She knew the day the peaches would be ripe and how sour a lemon was based on the rain. My grandmother spoke the language of the land that fed her. She housed families on her farm that would help till the soil, their hands colored with dirt and her hands bruised from hollowing out all those zucchinis. And they built Syria with a prayer, with a meal, blistered hands, and enough food to feed the neighbors. You see, the falah, the farmer, is the one who knows his country best. It is him to take the first bullets, and it is him to stay behind. He knows what Syria needs when she is thirsty. He knows what she will do to his body when he is buried. A farmer knows what his grave will smell like. And when the war started, even the rivers ran away. For the hands of a militant are not like the hands of a farmer. Bullet and earth cannot speak to each other, and blood will never, ever make the crops grow. And so Syria stopped growing. She spent her time counting bodies. It's hard to trust the footsteps when everyone is running, when the bombs disguise themselves as clouds, when militants talk dirty about a country whose parsley they have never even tasted. Only a farmer will convince this soil to grow again. He is water in time of drought. His street dialect is the language the dirt prays in. And when he's cooking for all those starving people, He's using my grandmother's recipes. They cut down every single tree in my grandmother's farm. They rip the pomegranate from the earth and the lemons don't grow there anymore. And the people wonder, does the tyrant not remember who fed him? My grandma swore that she's gonna write down every single recipe when this war is over, because she knows what Syria needs. I think that we all know what every single one of our countries need. We will rebuild them with a prayer, with a meal, blistered hands, and enough food to feed the neighbors. And the tyrants, the militants, the warlords, just like the rest of us, they will learn their graves. They're gonna feel the weight of the entire country on their chests, and when the soil asks them, did you not spill blood in my name? Then why do you fear me so? Let the earth give your body back to me, President. And Bashar al-Assad, he's not gonna know how to respond. He doesn't speak the language of his country. He will struggle against the dirt that fed him. I want to know. My grandma had 14 kids. I'm going to just say one thing. That farm in the poem, now it's an orphanage. That's counterterrorism. They're already growing lentils. The trees are being tended to. They're trying to plant more. So the earth is always victorious. Thank you guys again for everything. I appreciate it.